You, Yasharel, are worth much more than rubies. Today I want to talk about Matthew chapter 24. I want to read the very words of HaMashiach. As we're seeing a lot of changes in the world, a lot of us are feeling a little anxious, wondering, when are we going to be redeemed? When are we going to get out of Babylon? And I'm hoping that these words will give us a little bit more clarity of what's to come. In going out, Yahushua went away from the Mikdash, and his Talmidim came near to point out to him the buildings of the Mikdash. And Yahushua said to them, "Do you not see all these? Truly, I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another at all, which shall not be thrown down." And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the Talmidim came to him separately, saying, "Say to us, when shall this be? And what is the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" And Yahushua said, "Take heed that no one leads you astray. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am HaMashiach, and they shall lead many astray. And you shall begin to hear of fightings and reports of fightings. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise up against nation, and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food, and deadly diseases and earthquakes in places. And all these are the beginning of birth pains. Then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you. And you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many shall stumble, and they shall deliver up one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise up and lead many astray. And because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. And this good news of the reign shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end shall come. So when you see the abomination that lays waste, spoken of by Daniel the Nabi, put up in the Mikdash, he who reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Yehudah flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not come down to take whatever out of his house. And let him who is in the field not turn back to get his garments. And woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing children in those days. And pray that your flight does not take place in winter or on the Shabbat. For then there shall be great distress, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time, nor ever shall be. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened. If anyone then says to you, look, here is HaMashiach, or there, do not believe. For false messiahs and false prophets shall arise, and they shall show great signs and wonders, as so to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. See, I have forewarned you. So if they say to you, look, he is in the desert, do not go out. Or look, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe. For as the lightning comes from the east and shines to the west, so also shall be the coming of the Ben of Adam be. Wherever the dead body is, there the vultures shall be gathered together. And immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from the Shamayim, and the powers of the Shamayim shall be shaken. And then the sign of the Ben of Adam shall appear in the Shamayim. And then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Ben of Adam coming on the clouds of the Shamayim with power and much esteem. And he shall send his messengers with the great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, and from one end of the Shamayim to the other. And learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that the summer is near. So you also, when you see all these, know that he is near at the door. Truly I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away until all this takes place. The Shamayim and the earth shall pass away, but my word shall by no means pass away. But concerning the day and the hour, no one knows, not even the messengers of the Shamayim, but my Father only. Did you see? Could you see? Every word that Hamashiach has spoken is full of depth and great importance. I remember when I used to be in the Christian church, living in the last days was the most petrifying thing that could ever come to my mind. I was so fearful. I wondered about everything. I worried about my mother, my father, my sisters, my brothers, my relatives. I worried about my very own life. It was just a time that I did not want to live in. And now, coming to know who we are, who I am, the only thing I desire every single day is to get out of this system, to get out of this evil kingdom, out of captivity, and to enter into Yah's kingdom. And sometimes it gets very agitating because there's not a day that doesn't pass by where I am so ready to leave. I find myself sometimes scrolling through TikTok and YouTube and any kind of media search, not for an update, but for me to see if there is any major change in the world that would indicate us getting out of here. I wake up in the morning excited saying, what's happened today? Because I need to go. Before, the news used to give me anxiety in a negative way. But now I look to see, what are these people saying that I can say, it's time, it's almost time to go. But it seems like while there are changes in the world, things aren't moving fast enough. So I had a conversation with Yah and I had to say, Yah, how much longer? How much longer before you gather us? How much longer before you bring us out of this land? I'm so tired of waiting here. I'm so tired of feeling like a prisoner. And so, through that kind of a conversation with the Most High, He brought me to this chapter. Yes, the dry bones have awakened. And yes, many more of us are awakening. But we're only in the beginning of sorrows. We're only in the beginning. For nation shall rise up against nation, and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food, and deadly diseases, and earthquakes in places, and all these are the beginning of birth pains. Did you know that birth pains can last many days? Birth pains can last a week for some women. And remember, our timing is not Yah's timing. So while some of us are seeing the nations rising up against nations, and when the scripture says nations, it's not talking about countries, because we must remember there was no such thing as countries. There was things as nations and kingdoms. And what we're seeing right now going on in the lands that we are in are nations rising up against nations. Different tribes rising up against different tribes. And the kingdoms now, these are governments and rulerships that are rising up against rulerships and other governments. There is a scarcity of food, but it's not wild right now. It's not worldwide. And deadly diseases are not worldwide yet. We're seeing the beginning of birth pains. We've just gotten to the door. And I know a lot of us are feeling very anxious. But there's much more to come. After the nations rise up against nations and reign against reign, and the scarcities of food and the deadly diseases and the earthquakes in multiple places, then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you. We are still waiting for this part, because a lot of our people are dying, but it's not for the reason mentioned here. It says, then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. A lot of people might be thinking, but this already happened. But the one thing we have to understand was in 70 AD, a lot of people, they weren't killed for the sake of HaMashiach. This was chastisement, because they said, let his blood be on our heads. And so at that point, they were driven out of Jerusalem. In this instance where HaMashiach is speaking, he's talking about those who will be afflicted and killed for his name's sake, not for their own sins. I have to remind myself of this. There's not going to be an absolute easy pass for Yasharel. We do have an exodus that is coming, and we do have an ark that is built for us. But in the space of that, and even after that, there are many of us who will be delivered up to affliction and will be killed by the different nations for his name's sake. And then it says, and then many shall stumble, and they shall deliver up one another, and shall hate one another. Hate one another? And many false prophets shall rise up and lead many astray. It's true, there are a lot of false prophets rising up, but they're not really leading true believers astray. We all know that there are people rising up, and we expect false prophets. So none of us are really being deceived right now. But hold up. When we are being afflicted, and we are being killed, and we are in deep suffering, and then somebody comes and says, I am the Mashiach, I am the deliverer, that is when we will be easily deceived if we do not remember the words of HaMashiach. Right now, things are relatively smooth and easygoing for us. So if a man were to rise up today and say, I am HaMashiach, or I am a prophet, we would not be easily led astray. But let hunger come. Let suffering and disease and plague come. Let anguish come. Let sorrow come. Let deep, agonizing afflictions come. Let your son die or your daughter die. Let your baby stomach be turning in and out because they're hungry. And see somebody turn water into wine. Will you still believe that he is a false prophet? Or will you be deceived? Will you be led astray? You see, a lot of us are thinking that we are waiting for the Exodus and we're about to get out. And all of these things we will be excluded from. Only the wicked, only the lawless ones, only those who need to be tested will be left to go through these tests so that they may prove themselves worthy and will be in need of being reminded of these words. But that's not the case. Almost all of us will go through this. We have this conception that the Antichrist is coming now, and then we will be out of the way. But what if I told you, before the Antichrist comes, we will be tested? Because we have to understand that the beast system is being implemented now. The Antichrist has not risen. His system is being established. And in the middle of his system being established, we will be tested in these times. The famine is upon us. The killing, the wars, the betrayals. It's upon us. And we are still here. Will you endure to the end? Will you make it? Will you be able to say that you have persevered and now you are deserving of being taken out of the way when the Antichrist is revealed and you're able to make it to the wilderness where we will be kept for a time? Some of us are still holding on to this 7-year tribulation period, not understanding that it's an interpretation of the Catholic scholars. And we still have this idea that it's 7 years, 7 years, 7 years, 3.5 years is good, 3.5 years is bad. But because we are so confused on the calendar and the times that we're in, all we have are the signs and the very words of Yahuwah and our Mashiach Yahusha. Don't be deceived, Yasharel. We have to remember that we must be ready in and out of season. That things won't happen the way we were taught, only the way Scripture says. Does not the Scripture say that Yahuwah does not dwell in houses made by man's hands? So then when we read verse 15, it says, "So when you see the abomination that lays waste, spoken of by Daniel the Nabi, put up in the Mikdash, he who reads, let him understand." Is not the enemy trying to dwell in the Mikdash of the Most High Yah? Is it not written in Corinthians that we are the temple of the living Elohim? Is not the Mikdash that the enemy is trying to make abominable the very vessels that the Ruach of the Most High Yah dwells in? This was not talking about 70 AD. This is talking about now. But then, if those people that are currently in the political state are not Yahudah, and that is not the land of Yasharel, what then does it mean when it says, "Then let those who are in Yahudah flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not come down to take whatever out of his house. And let him who is in the field not turn back to get his garment. And woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing children in those days. And pray that your flight does not take place in winter or on the Shabbat. For then there shall be great distress, such as has not been since the beginning of the world until this time. No, nor ever shall be. This is not talking about 70 AD. And we know that Yahudah is not a place. It is a people. Is Yah not talking about those who are in Babylon? Who are in the midst of Yahudah? Who are Yahudah? And we are being told that when these things come upon us, that is when we will flee. Yasharel, many of us are not leaving right now. You might make your escape, you might be planning it, but a lot of us will not be leaving until, just as scripture says, the abomination that lays waste, spoken of by Daniel the Nabi, put up in the Mikdash. He who reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Yahudah flee to the mountains. We have to understand and see what the scriptures say. This is for a later time. This is for a time that is upon us. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened. For your sake and for my sake and for the sake of those who endure, the days shall be shortened. Was it said in 70 AD, if anyone then says to you, look, here is Hamashiach, or there, do not believe? What Mashiach appeared in those days? Is it not now, when our afflictions increase and we are looking for a deliverer, that many will come and say, look, here is a Messiah. Here is a prophet? Why would they need to say that? The end hadn't come in those times. It is a time that is coming now. It is a time that is coming soon. See, the scriptures say, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. And Hamashiach, he spoke to us, here a little, there a little. He didn't draw out fully every single event that would take place back to back to back. But he gave us a little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. And then he says, he who reads, let him understand. See, I have forewarned you. He has forewarned us. Many of us are skipping middle parts, trying to make it to the end. And this is a big mistake. We have to make sure that we are vigilant, that we are very, very much in remembrance of the words of Hamashiach. That nation shall rise against nation, reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food, deadly diseases, and earthquakes in places. These are the beginning of birth pains. And then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you. And you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. This killing that's going on right now, that's not for the sake of Yah's name or Yahusha's name. That is hatred in the hearts of these nations. But there is a time that is coming where they will despise those who are upholding the laws of the Most High Yah. This is the time we have to be looking towards. This is the time we have to anticipate. Because if we don't, we're going to mix timelines. We're going to be so focused on them killing us because they hate us that we forget that they're going to kill us because we're holding on to the name of the Most High Yah. There are minor differences, but they really matter. The details matter. So Yasharel, while we are being a little anxious in this time, because I know for me, I'm going every single day on social media checking what has changed in this world. What anguish is going on to indicate to me that Yah is bringing me out of this land? What calamity has come upon this nation? What sufferings have come? What war has transpired? For me to know that I'm almost out of here. That I'm almost out of this place. That I will soon be gathered into my land and in my Father's kingdom. That I'm taken aback. Then I have to remember the words of HaMashiach. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Remember, Yasharel, we want to get out, and we will get out. But make sure that you understand and you are reminded daily, not of tradition, not of doctrinal interpretations, but by every word that has been spoken, by every sign and warning that we were given by Abba Yah himself and by his son. See, I have forewarned you. These are the words of HaMashiach. See, I have forewarned you. Do not be led astray, for if possible, even the chosen ones could be led astray. We're looking at false prophets, but these people aren't even doing real miracles. But will you still endure to the end when you see somebody bringing fire from the sky? When somebody is able to raise your dead son back to life? When someone's able to turn water into wine? When they're able to multiply fish? When they're able to do miracles that your heart desires to see? We're not going to be moved by prophets who talk about rapture. But when you're in affliction and your flesh is crying out and your heart is wounded and you need consolation, will you endure to the end? Yah has given us these signs. He has told us the things that are to come. He says, for false messiahs and false prophets shall arise, and they shall show great signs and wonders. I've yet to see great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. There's a middle part coming, Yasharel. We are in the beginning of birth pains. The baby is yet to be born. Be reminded. Be reminded. For truly I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away until this takes place. Are you ready? Have you girded up your loins to be living and walking Torahs daily? While you're searching for all of the signs and wonders and signals of our exit, have you prepared yourself for testing and trials? Will you be able to endure to the end? Remember, Yasharel, You are much more than rubies. You are much more than a stone found in the cleft of a rock. Endure.